Hello, hello, hello. My name is Steven, and this is the Weekly Cut, where I stay up to date on movie news so you don't have to. And I just want to start off the show by saying thank you for listening. So last night in Thursday night previews, Justice League made $13 million. I think this is really bad because it made $13.5 million its opening night, and then Wonder Woman made $11 million. I think that this is not a good sign. Justice League is already tracking to make less than $100 million its opening weekend, which is absolutely awful because it should be making at least bare minimum, at least $100 million. But it really should be making like 130 or 100. I don't know. I feel like what Warner Brothers wanted Justice League to make its opening weekend was probably 200 million, but at least 175 million, because with the bad reviews, when it came out on Thursday night, when most people started seeing it, it had 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 48 on Metacritic. But Suicide Squad debuted at $133 million its opening weekend, at 26% on Rotten Tomatoes, and then Batman vs. Superman came in with $166 million at 27%. So, Justice League, with all of the names it has in it, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, this movie should make at least $175 million, but it's not making $100 million its opening weekend. That's absolutely awful. This is absolutely embarrassing because this movie should be making at least $1 billion worldwide, but I bet that it's not going to make it's not going to make $1 billion worldwide. It's just not. Batman vs. Superman didn't even hit it, and it made more its opening weekend. That's just math. This is not looking good for Justice League at all. So an article came out this week that Amazon.com was considering having a free ad-supported version of Prime Video. And when I saw this headline, I thought, ooh, that sounds really cool. That sounds really good. But when I read into it, this free version entails it's a completely different version. It's older content, so it's not stuff that came out this year, and it's not like it's not the studio stuff like A24. It's not the indie hits. It's older content, so that Amazon can generate more revenue, and so can other studios. So I got an email earlier today that MoviePass is offering a limited time subscription that will allow users to pay $6.95 a month to watch a movie a day for a whole year. It's currently $9.95 a month, but this new deal comes with a catch. You have to subscribe for 12 months, so you pay $89.95 for a whole year all at once, and basically you can't cancel the subscription. Well, you might be able to cancel the subscription, but you might not be able to get your money back. So $89.95 for a whole year, but the average ticket price at the beginning, the first 3 quarters of 2017 per Variety was $8.60. So you watch a movie, you watch 11 movies, and you're already basically at that 12-month subscription rate. So you might as well just get the Movie Pass for $7, for basically $7 a month, and you can see at 15 movies a month, and you already gained all of your money back from what you paid for the whole year. That's how I see Movie Pass. And I've been getting a lot of use out of my Movie Pass, and I know I'm going to continue to do that. So if you don't have a Movie Pass, definitely look into getting Movie Pass if you see a lot of movies like I do. Let me see what's next. So it came out 2 months ago that Disney is planning on having their own streaming platform. I think this is just a really bad idea because Disney already had a lot of their stuff on Netflix. They pulled their stuff from Netflix really early, which is weird because their platform is planning on being released in 2019, but you pulled your stuff as soon as you made the announcement of your streaming platform, like 2 years early, which is really weird and dumb because, I mean, Disney doesn't really need the money from Netflix to have their stuff on Netflix, but I don't know. It's really weird, but Disney is going to be having their own streaming service in 2019, and they're planning on having a live-action Star Wars series on it, a Monsters, Inc. series on it, a High School Musical series on it, and a brand new Marvel TV show on it. And I guess this is a way for them to gain more subscribers and get more eyeballs on their service. But this is really too much, honestly. They could just have all of these series on Netflix instead of trying to steal customers from Netflix and Hulu and Amazon by creating their own. Like I say pretty much every week on the show, Disney already has enough money. They don't need more money. And I mean, I'm cool with them making a live action Star Wars series, but just put it on Netflix. Everyone already has Netflix. We don't want to pay $15 a month for your Disney service, even if it does have the original Lion King and Monsters, Inc. and all that stuff. But people already own those on DVD and Blu-ray. So why would they get this streaming service? Because there's a brand new live action Star Wars series on there. Yeah, but one series isn't going to get someone to subscribe to your platform. I say that now, but I know there's probably a bunch of people that subscribe to HBO because of it. But I know there's probably a bunch of people that subscribe to HBO because of Game of Thrones, or Netflix because of all of their Marvel TV shows. So there's going to be a female-led reboot of the movie What Women Want, that starred Mel Gibson. The new version follows Taraji P. Henson, who plays a female sports agent who has been constantly boxed out by her male colleagues. When she gains the power to hear men's thoughts, she's able to shift the paradigm to her advantage as she races to sign the NBA's next superstar. I think it could be very funny, but it also could be very raunchy. This comes out at a time where all of these sexual assault allegations are coming out by about Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey and everyone. So I wonder if this has anything to do with that. I wonder how much that's going to play a factor into the movie, if at all. There's going to be a Mario Brothers movie released by Illumination Entertainment. Illumination Entertainment is the people that make Minions and Despicable Me, and their last year's hit, The Secret Life of Pets. There's no director or stars or writers attached right now, but I mean, Illumination has made a lot of money off of the Despicable Me franchise and with The Secret Life of Pets last year. So this seems like they have another hit on their hands, regardless of if it's actually good or not, regardless of who they have voicing the talent or directing. This is going to be huge because it's a super valuable piece of IP that Hollywood studios have been wanting to get off the ground and make for years. And Illumination Entertainment has it now. So, I mean, that movie's got to be fast-tracked and made immediately, probably. So it came out that 15 to 20% of Justice League is from Joss Whedon's reshoots, which is a big number, but he still didn't get credited as a director. When watching Justice League, I could tell that some of the shots and some of the dialogue were part of the reshoots. There's this one scene in particular with the Flash, where there's 3 shots. There's one shot that is clearly shot on a set, and it's in the trailer. It's where Batman is talking to the Flash for the first time. There's a shot that's in the trailer of the reaction shot and the Flash talking, but then there's another shot it cuts back to the Flash talking, and he's rambling, and he's like very jokey. He's rambling for a long time, and that's obviously on a green screen, and it's not set up the same way that the original shot was, which is really, I don't see how the editors and the producers don't re-watch this movie and see, oh, that's obviously a green screen. We should probably take that out and just leave in whatever we had before. I mean, they've already spent all this money on reshoots with Joss Whedon, paying Joss Whedon and paying the actors to come back and paying the crew and all that stuff. But it's so obvious that you should probably just leave it out of the movie. Staying with the DCEU and its problems, Ben Affleck says that he wants, quote, a cool way to segue out, unquote, of the DCEU. And with that, an article came out this week, and rumors are floating all around that Matt Reeves is already talking to and setting up meetings with other actors to play Batman. Now Collider, through their sources, have confirmed that Matt Reeves has had a meeting with Jake Gyllenhaal. The Warner Brothers still doesn't have a short list of actors that they'd like to see in the role, which is odd, because you would think as soon as all of these talks of Ben Affleck leaving as Batman came out, that they would automatically put in a short list of people that they would like to see as the next Batman. But obviously, Warner Brothers doesn't have their stuff together. But Jake Gyllenhaal as the next Batman. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. I don't know. I can't see Jake Gyllenhaal as the Batman. I don't think he can play Bruce Wayne. I mean, you look at his characters like Donnie Darko and the guy from Nightcrawler, and you don't see someone there. I don't see a stitch of a person that could play Bruce Wayne. I don't think Jake Gyllenhaal can play a suave person. He is Donnie Darko. He's Detective Loki from Prisoners. He is the guy from Nightcrawler. He's not Batman. He is not the playboy, millionaire, billionaire, really tough and rugged Batman. I can't see him as Batman. But I mean, I feel like if he got the role, I would eat my words, and he would prove me wrong, because he's an amazing actor. But right now, I just can't see it. I'm very interested in seeing. I'm very intrigued by seeing what he could do with the role, because I know he was rumored to play Rick Flag in Suicide Squad. But then again, so was Tom Hardy. But I don't know. I mean, if he gets the role, obviously, I love Batman. I'm gonna go see the movie. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm gonna see the movie. I love Matt Reeves' work. I'm gonna go see the movie. But right now, I can't see it. I can't see Jake Gyllenhaal as the Batman. But what do you think? You should comment below what you think. Do you think Jake Gyllenhaal would work as Batman? I just don't think there's enough evidence. He hasn't played a character like the Batman before, which I know sounds dumb because Heath Ledger never played a role like the Joker before, and then he knocked out of the park. And then Tom Hardy never played a role like Bane before, and then he knocked out of the park. But okay. So with Jared Leto playing the Joker, I could see that. There's evidence to support why he would be a good Joker because of his role in Requiem for a Dream. He plays this really messed up character, and Jared Leto is known to go method and stuff like that, and that's why I could see him playing the Joker. But with Jake Gyllenhaal, it's not the same way. I don't see anything besides him being a good actor, an amazing actor, why he should be able to play the Batman. But I mean, like I said, he'll probably knock it out of the park if he gets the role and prove me wrong, and he might be the best Batman there is. Who knows? But for right now, I just can't see it. So the Wrap is reporting that the current plan for Suicide Squad 2 will feature Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson making his debut as Black Adam. No, he wouldn't be part of the force, the task force, with Will Smith and everything. But he would be in the movie somewhere. I think this is a really odd choice because whether the Suicide Squad would be fighting him or not, it would feel out of place. It's like Harley Quinn and Deadshot and Captain Boomerang and Killer Croc, they would not be able to fight Black Adam. Black Adam is a metahuman, to use the DCEU's own terms. He's a metahuman, and Will Smith, Harley Quinn, Will Smith, Deadshot, but let's be honest, he played Will Smith in the movie. He was just Will Smith. The Suicide Squad is no different. They could not take on Black Adam. Black Adam would kill them all because he's a metahuman. Harley Quinn is just crazy and has a baseball bat. He would kill her in seconds. Deadshot is good at shooting guns. He's very accurate at shooting guns. Yeah, and Black Adam has lightning and would just murder him. Same thing with Killer Croc. Wow, you're a crocodile. He would kill you. Captain Boomerang. Wow, you can throw boomerangs. Black Adam would kill you. So he should just not be in the movie because he's a villain. And if he wouldn't be part of the Suicide Squad, and I think whether he's in the movie and if he was a part of the Suicide Squad, that would be dumb because why would he be a part of the Suicide Squad? Because he's more powerful than any of them. Why would Black Adam be a part of the movie if he's not a part of the Suicide Squad, nor is he part of the plot or the villain that the Suicide Squad is trying to kill? That's just really dumb. Either way, it's dumb. Black Adam should not be in Suicide Squad 2. He's going to get his own movie, so just put him in his own movie, and that's it. So it came out that Get Out is going to be placed in contention to win the Golden Globe for Best Comedy or Musical. Everyone knows that the Golden Globes are a joke compared to the Oscars. I mean, and in general, they're a very laid back type of movie award show, very different from the Oscars. I mean, obviously, because they have a category called best comedy or musical. So I think this is just absolutely dumb. Get Out was not a comedy, and it's definitely not a musical. It had comedic moments in it, but that does not make it a comedy. I mean, same thing with last year, The Martian. That was nominated for a Golden Globe for best comedy or musical. The Martian is not a comedy. That said, I hope that this means that people will continue to look at Get Out as an Oscar contender and as an awards contender in general. Because I know it's nominated for a lot of Gotham awards, but it needs to be nominated. I've said this on pretty much every show since I've started the Weekly Cut. It needs to be nominated for Best Picture or at least Best Original Screenwriting. I mean, hell, even throw in a freaking nomination for Best Director, because he honestly deserves it. In my perfect world, Get Out would be nominated for Best Picture, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Director. Let's see if that happens, though. I hope so, but I don't know. So Danny McBride, the co-writer of the new Halloween reboot / sequel, came out this week and says, we're kind of ignoring all of the films past the first one. It picks up after the first one, but it's sort of an alternate reality. It's as if the first Halloween ended in a slightly different way. Now, you're already confusing people by rebooting sort of this franchise by rebooting this franchise for the second time, and ignoring all of the sequels and ignoring the Rob Zombie films. You're already ignoring a lot of the franchise's past, but you're going to change. This is going to be set in alternate reality where Halloween ended in a different way. This movie is just going to be completely confusing to a lot of general audiences, and it's honestly confusing me right now because, first of all, they said that it was going to be picking up off after the first movie, and they completely ignore all sequels. Then John Carpenter came out about a month ago saying that it was going to be taking place after the second one, which is where Laurie Strode, it comes out that Laurie Strode and Michael Myers are brother and sister. But now he says that it's just going to be picking up after the first movie, but as if the first movie picked up in a different way. I mean, ended in a different way. How does this make any sense at all? This is just completely confusing. I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing this movie, but it's just super confusing. I mean, it's coming out in less than a year from now, October 19th, 2018, but what is going on? Danny McBride, get your stuff together. What is this? You're ignoring all of the movies past the first one, but also the ending of the first one? So if people go see, if they have a special event and they have the first Halloween in theaters right before the reboot sequel, which they probably will do and they should do because I want to see Halloween on the big screen for the first time. But if they do that, what? So it ends with Michael Myers being shot. Spoilers. If you haven't seen Halloween, stop watching this. Stop listening to this podcast and go watch Halloween. But so it ends with Michael Myers being shot and he falls off of a balcony, and then Donald Pleasance, Loomis, and then Laurie Strode, they look over the edge and they see that he's gone. And then the Halloween theme starts, and that's the end of the movie. And it's a wonderful ending. So you're going to ignore that and change it to what? That's my question. What are you going to change it to? What is this alternate reality? And also, is that going to be explained in the movie? Are you going to have a flashback but change it up? Because that will confuse people. Please don't tell me you're going to have like a CGI'd younger Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode and then completely change the ending at the beginning of this movie. This is just completely confusing. Like I keep saying, it's just really confusing. I really want this movie to be good, but what is going on? I can't help but facepalm right here, because I love the original Halloween. It's a perfect movie. It is one of the best horror movies of all time. And it seems like they're gonna... I really don't want them to ruin this, because this could be really good. It could be so good. And with Get Out coming out this year, and Jordan Peele being a huge horror fan, but a comedian, jumping to the horror genre and then perfectly nailing the horror genre and doing an amazing job with his directorial debut. And then with Danny McBride co-writing this movie, he's also a comedian and comedic actor, jumping into the horror genre for the second time since he was in Alien Covenant this year. With him writing this movie, I feel like this could continue the train of comedic actors and comedians going from comedy to the horror genre. But if Danny McBride messes up and this movie is bad, that stops the train. And I just really don't want that to happen, because I just want this movie to be good. That's it. So it came out 2 weeks ago that Amazon was going to be having a Lord of the Rings TV series. And it came out earlier this week that TV series is going to be getting a multi-season commitment. Now, there's no word on whether it's going to be set in Middle Earth and explore new storylines preceding the Fellowship of the Ring. And this deal also includes a potential additional spin-off series. But there's no word on whether Peter Jackson is going to be coming back and directing the pilot or anything, which as soon as I thought of this, that's what I thought of. I think they should have Peter Jackson back to at least direct the first episode, the pilot. But if they could get him back to direct the whole first season, that would be incredible. I know Peter Jackson has moved on to bigger and better things, but he has also said that he is not ruling out coming back to the Lord of the Rings franchise. I talked to my friend Ben, who has been on the show before, about what he thinks that they should do with it, and he wants to see them do something completely new, which is what I think. I don't want to see any of the similar characters. I talked to him about this because he's a huge Lord of the Rings fan, more than I am. And he loves the movies. He loves the franchise. And he said he wants to see things different. He doesn't want to see any of the same characters. He doesn't want to see it be remade, but he also doesn't want this TV show to be made for money. And he said that he read somewhere it was going to be like a Game of Thrones. And like I said to him, I'm not sure if that means the budget wise it's going to be like Game of Thrones, because this kind of series would deserve a budget that is as big as Game of Thrones, but it doesn't need to be capitalizing off of the Lord of the Rings name in order to just make more money for Amazon. And basically, it needs to be good. It doesn't need to have all of the gratuitous things that Game of Thrones does. It needs to be similar to the movies, but different, with new characters, and it basically just needs to be good. So I'm looking forward to that whenever that comes out. There's no word on a release date or anything yet, but they have my attention. So a report came out this week that Tom Cruise is in the mix for Quentin Tarantino's next movie, which is totally not about Charles Manson. It was reported that the movie was centering around Charles Manson and those murders, but apparently it's not. Quentin Tarantino explained that it's not Charles Manson, it's 1969. So it's about 1969. Charles Manson might be in the movie. Someone might be portraying Charles Manson, but he won't have a predominant role in the movie. But Tom Cruise, but according to Deadline, Tom Cruise is under consideration for one of the two male lead roles. This could be good or bad. This would be very good for Tom Cruise's career, since it seems like he's basically doing the same movies over and over again. He just continues to do movies that are centered around him running, being an action star like The Mummy, Mission Impossible, Jack Reacher, but he keeps doing movies that are centered around him, which is one of the problems with The Mummy. The Mummy is supposed to be about the mummy, but it's all about Tom Cruise's character. And I guess he's very Will Smith in that way, because that's one of the reasons why Will Smith says no to a lot of movies and sequels, because he's not the predominant role. He's not the lead. But I think this could be very good for Tom Cruise's career, to try something different, more serious, get out of the action genre and do something like he did with Magnolia and with Eyes Wide Shut, Stanley Kubrick's last movie, because that was a very serious movie, obviously with Stanley Kubrick. Well, most of Stanley Kubrick's movies, excluding Dr. Strangelove. But he did very well in Magnolia and in Eyes Wide Shut, and I think I'd like to see him return to a role where it's not just him being an action star, even though he is an action star, but he can also act. He can also be an actor, be a dramatic actor, not just jumping off of planes and jumping off of buildings and running from CGI creatures and stuff like that. I think this could be very good for him in his career. Star of The Get Down, Justice Smith, is set to star in the Detective Pikachu movie. That's all I'm going to say about that. I haven't seen The Get Down or Justice Smith in anything, and I don't really care about a Detective Pikachu movie, especially a live action Detective Pikachu movie. So that's where I'll leave that. So the hottest new director in town, Denis Villeneuve, who is the director of Blade Runner 2049, Arrival, Prisoners, and Sicario, as well as So the hottest new director in town, Denis Villeneuve, the director of Arrival and 2049. So the hottest new director in town, Denis Villeneuve, the director of Blade Runner 2049, Arrival, Sicario, Enemy, and Prisoners. He was offered the job to direct the next Bond movie, Bond 25. It is tentatively being called. He was offered that job about 2 months ago. And he hasn't really made a statement about it until this week, where he said he's interested in Bond, but Dune is his next movie. And speaking of Bond, Sam Mendes, who directed Skyfall and Spectre and Casino Royale, all James Bond movies, the last James Bond movies with Daniel Craig as Bond, he recently dropped out of directing the live-action Pinocchio movie for Disney, which means that he's available to direct James Bond. I think it would be good for him to come back and close out the James Bond franchise with Daniel Craig as the solo director of all of his movies. But I'm not sure which kind of movie he'll give us, because from what I hear, Spectre was bad to mixed, and then Skyfall was amazing, apparently. I haven't seen any of the James Bond movies with Daniel Craig because they just really don't interest me. But I think it would be cool for him to come back and close out the run of Daniel Craig. So it has been announced that Rian Johnson is going to be developing and directing a brand new Star Wars trilogy that is separate from the main saga, which will be released in 2020. The first movie is going to be directed by Rian Johnson, but the rest will not be as of now. But he's developing an entire original trilogy with new characters that are separate from the Skywalkers. I think this is a good idea, but I also think that I would rather see Rian Johnson do more original content like Looper than do movies that are set in the Star Wars universe. But hey, I mean, since these are original movies, and through Star Wars, he can... The reason why I want him to do original stuff outside of the Star Wars universe is because I know that with Star Wars, there are a lot of restrictions for what he can do. He couldn't make a movie like Looper within the Star Wars name, within the Star Wars brand, because I feel like Kathleen Kennedy and the studio heads at Lucasfilm would not allow him to do that. So I feel like he should be directing more original content for himself rather than under the Star Wars name. That being said, I'm very happy for Rian Johnson. That sounds cool. But I would, like I said, I would rather see him do more original content. But I'm genuinely excited about seeing what this new trilogy could be, and hopefully it would be something new to the Star Wars genre and franchise, because it's just getting stale for me. The director of Wonder, which comes out this weekend, and the director of Perks of Being a Wallflower, Steven Chbosky, is set to direct a live-action movie centering around the character of Prince Charming for Disney. Do you remember that show that used to come out on Nickelodeon called Are You Afraid of the Dark? Well, that is going to be adapted for the big screen by one of the writers of It and Annabelle Creation, named Gary Doberman. There's no word on whether this is going to be an anthology series, an anthology movie or not, but I'm actually very intrigued by this idea. There are not a lot of horror anthology movies wide released, so that leads me to believe that it's not going to be an anthology movie with short films to make up the runtime of a feature film, but it could be a similar idea to what the original Halloween franchise was supposed to be. The original Halloween franchise was supposed to be like one-offs. They were supposed to be standalone movies. So the first movie was going to be Michael Myers, and then the next movie, Halloween 2, was not going to be Michael Myers. And if Are You Afraid of the Dark does the same thing, it could be very, very, very good. And it could be something very different for the horror genre. And that, I mean, it could make a lot of money, because Are You Afraid of the Dark could be anything. And that name is so vague and general that you can make a lot of different horror subgenres and title them Are You Afraid of the Dark and release them for very cheap, like once a year or twice a year. And they couldn't get old because they could be by different directors and about different things. And they could be, like most of the horror genre, they could be made for very cheap. So I think this is a very good idea. And Gary Doberman is a good writer because, I mean, Animal Creation was good. I mean, I'm not sure how much he contributed to it, but I mean, I don't like it, but a lot of people loved it. And he was one of the writers on that, but I'm not sure what he contributed to that, since I know there were different drafts. But yeah, Gary Doberman has to be a good writer, because he wrote Animal Creation and some of it. So I think this is a very good idea, and they have a really good writer attached. And if they do my idea of doing anthology one-offs, standalone movies, it could be amazing. So Wonder Woman 2 has moved up in release dates from December 13th to November 1st, 2019. Star Wars Episode 10 plans on coming out on December 20th, which is 1 week after Wonder Woman 2's original release date. So now Wonder Woman 2 completely, I don't want to say completely avoids Star Wars Episode 10, because Wonder Woman 2 will probably still be out in theaters at that time, since Wonder Woman was out from June to late October. But, well, not late October. It was out from June to late September. I know that. Into early October, honestly. But now it avoids being so close. And now Wonder Woman 2's second weekend will be a lot bigger, because it's not coming out. I mean, it's not competing with Star Wars Episode 10 so directly. By this time, it'll have been in the theaters for over a month and have already made the money that it was going to. And most people that were going to see it would have already seen it by the time that Star Wars Episode 10 comes out. So Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk is going to be returning to theaters on December 1st with a re-release in 50 IMAX 70mm locations and 34 domestic markets around the United States. Obviously, this is for awards consideration, but I don't think Dunkirk honestly deserves any Oscars. It is Christopher Nolan's worst movie, but I know a lot of people love it, and I feel like a lot of people think that it is Oscar worthy. So, what do you think? You should comment below and tell me, do you think that Dunkirk is Oscar worthy, and do you think it has a good shot at winning Best Picture? Paddington 2 switched hands this week, with Warner Brothers winning the auction for the distribution rights from the Weinstein Company. Now Paddington 2 will be releasing in January 12th, 2018. So the first trailer for The Post came out this week, which is Steven Spielberg's next movie that comes out in December. Just judging off the trailer, it's obviously Oscar bait, but I definitely know for sure that it is Oscar bait because I stay up to date on movie news. And the script for the post was really hot, and then Steven Spielberg had his producers and his company buy it, and then they fast tracked it. Steven Spielberg cleared out his entire schedule of editing and keeping up to date on the post production of Ready Player One, which comes out in March of 2018. He threw all of that out of the window, pushed it aside to make this movie and fast track it for Oscars so it would be ready by December so it could get Oscars, which is insane that he made a movie so fast with Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep in it. It's not just like Steven Spielberg made a movie in a couple months really fast for Oscar consideration. But this movie has Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep in it, and it's definitely going to win Oscars because every time Meryl Streep's in the movie, she's nominated for an Oscar if she doesn't win. But honestly, this movie, it intrigues me. It has my attention. It doesn't have my full attention though. It looks like a very Bridge of Spotlight-esque movie. And I didn't really dig either of those movies, but since this one is Steven Spielberg, and there's Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep in it, and I know it's going to be nominated for Oscars, and it actually looks somewhat good. So the trailer for Game Night was released this week, and that starred Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams as husband and wife, and then their friend comes over for game night. They have a bunch of friends that come over for game night, and one of them gets kidnapped, and hilarity and intensity ensues. From watching the first, let me see, 30 seconds of this trailer, or first like 25 seconds of this trailer, you would think that it's going to be a thriller. Like it's going to be a thriller, no comedy at all. But at like the 30-second mark, it shows that it's going to be a comedy, and it actually does it very well. I'm going to be honest, it does it really well, and I laughed while I was watching the trailer at least 2 times. I would go see this movie either way. Because it looked like at the beginning they did the thriller aspect, the serious dramatic thriller aspect really well. And then obviously Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams are very good dramatic actors, but I didn't know that. I completely forgot that Rachel McAdams had comedic chops because she's in Mean Girls. But yeah, I forgot that she was very good at comedy, and she's pretty funny in this trailer. I'm definitely going to keep this on my radar. But when I first heard about this movie, I thought it was going to be a thriller, and just a very serious, dramatic thriller. But obviously, the trailer shows me otherwise. The trailer for Hostels came out this week. It is from the director of Black Mass and Out of the Furnace. And speaking of Out of the Furnace, Christian Bale is also in this movie, and he is the lead. This looks like a very serious, dramatic Western movie, and I'm totally in for it. And it looks very similar to newer Westerns that we've gotten in recent years. But it also looks very unique. Rosamund Pike is in it, and Jesse Plemons is in it, which I both like, and obviously I like Christian Bale. So I'm definitely going to go see this movie when it comes out. I don't believe it's getting a wide release, but if it's anywhere around me, I'm going to be headed to the theater the night it comes out. Um, the trailer for Deadpool 2 came out. The teaser for Deadpool 2. It's not. It's definitely a teaser more than anything. There's just a lot of random shots of fire and guns and random stuff. But it has my attention. It has my full attention, actually. I didn't really like Deadpool on a second and third viewing. I really loved it in theaters with the crowd on opening night, but watching it not in theaters, not with a huge audience, I didn't love it like I did the first time. But this teaser trailer does look pretty interesting. The trailer for The Greatest Showman came out, and it halfway interests me, but it looks I don't know how to describe it. It looks way too out there, but it is a musical. I mean, it knows what it is, and it's being over the top and all that stuff. But I don't know. I think it doesn't fit well with me because Zac Efron's in it, and I haven't seen him in a musical since High School Musical. It doesn't seem like he fits in it, but then also Hugh Jackman is the co-star in it. He looks like he's co-leading with Zac Efron, and I really can't see Hugh Jackman doing this musical after seeing his last role in Logan. It's just polar opposites, and I'm very intrigued on seeing how the general audiences take this, and if this will make a lot of money, because Zac Efron's not the biggest name draw, as we saw with We Are Your Friends, but Hugh Jackman is. But will Hugh Jackman be accepted in a role, and that comes out in the same year that's the polar opposite of Logan? But we'll see. The trailer for Rampage came out this week. It's from the director of San Andreas, which I actually enjoyed for what it was. It was a very self-aware movie that took itself very seriously, and it was over the top and crazy. It's from the same director, like I said, but this is based off a video game. It's where this gorilla gets into some like radioactiveness or something like that. I don't know. A gorilla gets really big and starts destroying a city. And then there's other animals that get really big too and start destroying the city. And it's up to The Rock to stop them. And I'm in. I am definitely in. I like the first look motion poster for Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald came out, and yep, it's a motion poster. It's not anything very crazy, but it just shows that Johnny Depp's character is going to be the main focus of this sequel. So the best trailer that came out this week is for a movie called A Quiet Place. It is directed and co-written and stars John Krasinski, who most people know as Jim from The Office. It also, he is also co-starring in the movie with his wife in real life, Emily Blunt. This trailer is freaking fantastic. It's one of the best trailers I've seen in a while. As soon as this episode is over, go watch this trailer right now. There's no talking in the trailer, but it builds the intensity through music and sound, and well, there's barely any sound in it actually. Let me take that back. It builds tension through silence and the visuals, and it looks gorgeous, and it looks like it's going to be very intense and fast paced and thrilling. It's a horror thriller, which is the complete opposite of the last movie that John Krasinski directed, which was called Hollers. And I read a tweet. Let me pull it up right here. There's a tweet from Justin Kroll, who is the film news writer for Variety. And he says in this tweet, he says, "A Quiet Place looks fantastic. Fun fact, when I was tracking this spec, a person close to the project say that the script only has 15 lines of dialogue, which makes him even more excited." But yeah, there's only 15 lines of dialogue in the whole movie. That sounds freaking amazing. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm so excited. I'm so pumped for this movie. It sounds incredible. I mean, wow. This is really cool. That's the end of the show. I hope that you'll join me here next week. You can find all the topics that I talked about here on today's show on my website, cuttheblackfilm.com. The link directly to the show notes will be in the description. And as always, if you want to talk to me, you can follow me on Twitter at cuttheblackfilm, and we can start up a conversation there. Thank you so much for listening. Bye until next week.